Is the pixie dust still there when we add another character to the title of this movie? Chase Hockey here at the Blue Futon reviewing Peter Pan and Wendy. You cannot forget Wendy in this one. So what's this about? Pretty simple premise, actually. It's the same story, as Peter Pan. You have these children in London, England, and they fly away to Neverland because they don't want to grow up. However, when they're in Neverland, do they realize, wait a minute, shall we grow up? What's going to happen if we stay here? Do we really want our parents? Because I miss my mommy. And then we have some mommy issues, maybe with some other characters in this movie. So, did I like this film? Okay, you see it a bunch of times now with Disney trying to sensitize their movies. And what I mean by that, by the original Peter Pan, if you believe on Disney Plus, it gives a sensitive warning. And like I said, they try to desensitize these movies. Did this one do it? Yes. Was it as bad as what people are saying? Yes and no. Some dialogue is pretty cringe, but I think it overall is a beautiful looking movie. However, the green screen CGI, for some reason, when comparing this to The Green Knight, which is another one of David Lowery's movies, that one's A24, this one's Disney. The Green Knight looks better, and I'm pretty sure the production budget and overall budget was way lower. So you got to think which one is better overall. But with Peter Pan and Wendy, let's talk about the positives. I think Jude Law and the actors involved do a pretty good job. Jude Law, of course, is the standout. I mean, he's the most professional one on set. Most of the kid actors that are in this movie, if they're not the main three characters in Peter Pan, they're maybe in this movie for 10 minutes max, 15 minutes max. Maybe, yeah, we'll go 15 minutes max with some of the kid characters. So nothing was like overtly like, oh shit, or oh dang, this is a PG movie. That is some bad acting from some kids. So I can't really fault anyone in that scenario. When they are in real world environments, it's a gorgeous looking film. I truly think they probably filmed this, if I had to take a guess, Ireland or somewhere off the coast in Europe. And I think it's very, very gorgeous looking. When they're on the soundstage, you kind of know when the soundstage is because of the background. The background really isn't great when comparing it to the foreground of the realism. So you're just like, yeah, I can see it looking good on some levels, but some levels it doesn't. All right, the main issue now, I think everything else, though, is just a fine looking movie. Production design good, but it's the story itself. And just, I'm starting to recognize the stuff with these movies now where I'm just like, it takes me out of the overall experience. What do I mean by that? How these random kids could just beat every single pirate adult. Like, it baffles me that in every movie now, every kid knows how to handle a sword. When watching this, because I'm kind of like thinking about movies I just saw recently, Chronicles of Narnia. These kids are struggling in Chronicles of Narnia to beat the kids. Yeah, overall they finally do it, but there's just some tactics. Here it's literally like, chow chow, I know exactly what I'm doing because we did playtime in London, and now I know how to battle these adults. And these adults these kids throwing these adults around. It's like, what the heck? Also, there's a scene in the movie where the ship kind of does a whole loop-de-loop. All the adults fall off, but none of the kids. All the kids have strength to hold on, but all the adults don't. So stuff like that, where it's like, I shouldn't be noticing this with kids' movies, but it's starting to really notice about how is it even possible? And to me, the Wendy character, I wasn't the biggest fan of her in this movie. Like, they try to make these characters like dickish. I know it's a PG Disney movie, but to me, Wendy was not a likable character in this movie whatsoever. Everything she did, it was just like, yeah, you're not likable, you're not likable, you're not likable whatsoever. And there's a scene, especially in the cartoon, where she walks the plank and falls, and Peter Pan saves her in the cartoon. This one, I don't know. I mean, she gets saved by looking at her future of being a lonely woman without kids, if I'm not mistaken, because even the whole movie, she's like, I don't know if I want to grow up without kids. Just some dialogue in this movie with Wendy just felt very forced and very I didn't like her character as a whole. Her whole thing is she doesn't want to grow up and she wants to stay a kid her whole time. So you would think that her character arc when growing up, she would want to have kids to have that fun childhood experience she could share with her own kids. Like, her character arcs, just when she talks about the story, makes no sense. And of course, there's one scene where Jude Law is like, "Oh, you could fly or something with," she's like, "This ain't boys' powers." Or there's one scene also like, "The good boys, well, you're not all boys." It's like, just some stuff in it where you're just like, it's so like poking you on the head, like, we're righting the wrong from the past, man. And you don't have to do it. Like, you literally can have these kids being boys and girls, and you know what? You don't have to bring up the Good Boys Club, like that dialogue. Or the Jude Law thing where she's magically flying now. It's just some stuff in this movie where you're just like, what? And the whole time, now Tinkerbell is randomly like, "Thank you, Wendy, for listening to me because you're the only one that can." You're just like, ugh. So this Wendy character knows nothing about Neverland, yet she's the only one that could do everything in Neverland. So it's just like stuff like that I noticed in movies now where it's like people are like mad because of the whole switching races and character. Honestly, I don't give a crap. I mean, it's freaking Tinkerbell. I'm going to guess there's a butt ton of fairies out there in the first place. So yeah, you might have a new Peter Pan movie with another, like, multiracial Tinkerbell. That doesn't bother me whatsoever. To me, it's more like the main characters. And let's just say, like, yeah, you could be mad, but I mean, she really hadn't any talking parts in this movie. She wasn't even the main character. So I could care less. I do think I'm a little bit more scared about the Little Mermaid personally, because what the actor's actually saying about that one. But Peter Pan and Wendy, there are some fun moments for kids in this film and adults. I like the look of the film. There is some magic, but to me, it's the Wendy character, and she's the main title character, but some of the stuff she does in this movie, and just the things that happen at the third act where you're just like, first of all, the crocodile should have been way more prominent, because that was a pretty badass scene, I won't lie. Just her. It was her just like, ugh. Ugh. Yeah. Overall, it's a good-looking movie. There's some magic there, but I think the pixie dust for this one was sprinkled, not splashed. That makes sense. But Peter Pan and Wendy will receive a 3 out of 5 with Futons. It goes at 60%. To me, there's enough positives in this movie to be like, I kind of enjoyed the experience of what I saw. But it wasn't the Tinkerbell issue. It was Wendy as a whole. Just her dialogue, her thing. And yeah. Well, let's just see what the critics' news scores gave this one. So if critics say 67% with 97 of them, audience scored 20% with over 1,000. I do think some of the 20 is probably trolling. I'll admit it. But here's critic consensus. Peter Pan and Wendy's obligatory fidelity to the animated classic keeps it from achieving Neverland's Nirvana, but David Lowery's pensive direction gives this rendition some of its own magic. I'm going to just caveat with one of the reviewers. I read one of the Rotten reviewers, and I thought it was so freaking just, those people that are just so just, okay, let's see if I can find it. It was a negative review. Okay, yeah. Andrew Dignant from In Review Online. Read this review if you want to just laugh of every buzzword on the freaking internet. One can appreciate Lowery's sensitively handling of the problematic material while still finding the over results wanting. Oh, read the other review. He's saying, like, it's misogynistic, it's sexist. You're like, bro, calm down, please, seriously. So 67, 60, 20. Chase out with the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know things. Butanotopia. You Butons, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Now, keep watching this tape tomorrow, a week from now, a month from now, a year from now. I love every single one of you. Did you watch it? To me, it's not as bad as what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be an atrocious movie. But to me, I kind of still had a fun little time with it. And I probably need to rewatch now the cartoon. Yeah, that's on the list for sure now.